Hello and welcome back. Today I thought I would do a chatty video, kind of just sharing some tips on how to be more of a sustainable reader and kind of just being more eco-conscious when making purchasing decisions and stuff like that. I have noticed in this community of readers, often it seems kind of like almost a competition just to see how much we can buy. And I'll admit I like watching book hauls just as much as the next person. It's really fun to see like what people are excited about and like the different covers and stuff like that. Maybe you'll hear books you've never heard of in someone's haul. I think it's important to remember that it's not about how many books you own. It's more just about reading for the love of it, to me. And I don't think it's necessary to have 80 book hauls to prove that you're like that you love reading or something, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? There have already been tons of conversations about capitalism and consumerism in the booktube and reading community, but I just thought I would share a couple things that I've been trying to do lately to be more intentional with how I buy books, where I buy books from, how I'm like consuming books, everything like that. I would like to also preface this by saying in no way do I think I'm perfect or like better than anyone for anything that I do. I know it's not everyone's top priority to think about stuff like this, and definitely not even everyone has like the privilege of time to sit and consider stuff like this. This is just more me wanting to share some things that I've learned. So if you can or you want to or you're able to change some of your habits, whether you just want to save money or maybe you need tips on shopping in places other than Amazon for books, I just thought I would share some tips. The judge-free zone, I definitely am not trying to put anyone down, just thought I would share some things that I've been trying to do and I've been learning more about recently. Yes, Day is up there and Luna's over there, by the way, in case you didn't know. Let us begin. Tip number one is to borrow books from your library. I know some people might not have access to libraries, or there just like really might not be any in your area. This is one of those things that kind of right now just depends where you're at, but I think libraries are definitely one of the best ways to get books. Library perks. It's free. If you're a resident in the city that the library is in, it's always, I'm pretty sure, always free to get like a library card. So you can check out several books at a time and hold on to them for a while. And I just think that's a great way to get access to books. And also, if you borrow a book from the library and you end up not loving it, there's no like guilt. Say you had bought the book and then you end up hating it, then you're like, well, now I'm stuck with this book. But if you just borrow it from the library, you can get it back and get one that you might like more. And I know a big thing too with Bookstagram, BookTube is the aesthetics. You can still take aesthetically pleasing photos with library books. If that's something that you really care about, you can get creative with it. Also, libraries are awesome because they have tons of online resources. Usually, I think most libraries do. So on my Kindle, I use the Libby app, which is free. You connect your library card to it and then you get access to the online database of your library. I think they're all a little different. I get to do 5 holds and 5 loans at a time. So say you want to read a popular book, but everyone's borrowing it, you just put a hold on it and then it'll notify you when you're able to borrow it. So it's super cool, free, and then they also do that with audiobooks on the same app. So I've listened to so many audiobooks through Libby. Shout out to Alexis, thank you for showing me that. It's just like so great and free, and it's really easy to use, user-friendly. So yes, libraries are awesome. Libby app, awesome. I think Overdrive is another app that's kind of like Libby, but I'm not entirely sure, I haven't used it. Libraries. My second tip is to shop at used bookstores or even thrift stores, because oftentimes they have little book sections somewhere in the back. I've gotten on tons of books for super cheap at used bookstores and thrift stores. One of my favorites is Half Price Books. It's a big chain. I think they're all over the US. They have tons of used books, and then they'll also buy used books off of you, which is really cool because then you can put it towards new purchases. Used bookstores and thrift stores are awesome because the books are usually like super cheap and you can usually find something that you've never even heard of, which is really cool, especially at thrift stores. Things that get donated, I feel like oftentimes those are kind of the less popular ones. It's really fun to kind of just look around at all the different books and just see what catches your eye. So I thought I would share a couple of books that I found at used bookstores. So this is The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and I heard about this in high school, never read it, and then I found it at a used bookstore just down the street, and I figured I'd get it because I've wanted to read it forever. But yeah, it was only $7.50, which, yeah, usually it says it's $16, so that's like a really good deal. I also got this little book of Edgar Allan Poe stories. I got it for $1.50. I haven't read this either, but look, it's super short. I feel like it'd be good to read around Halloween or something like that. And this one, it's called Freckles. I don't really remember what it's about, honestly, but I just thought the cover was so cute. It's the same on both sides, and then even inside has some cool art, and then someone wrote on the inside, which is kind of sweet because you just think like, who loved this before you found it, you know? Tip number 3 is to shop at local bookstores. So if you do really want a new copy of something, you don't want to wait till you can find it at a used bookstore, I would recommend trying to shop at a local independently owned bookstore. They're often run by regular people versus, you know, billionaire who does not need your book sales. But yeah, and then if you shop at local bookstores, you're putting money back in your community, it's supporting local business. Yeah, so win-win-win. And a lot of times local bookstores are super cool and eclectic and have a lot of charm because it is someone's baby, like it is their business that they put their own personal touch on. So local bookstores are awesome. They're a great way to buy new books if you really want to have a new copy of something. There are websites like bookshop.org and then IndieBound. You can kind of search by your location and then it'll tell you the local bookstores in your area, so you can shop online through them and they get your money, which is also really cool versus just going to the first big retailer you can think of for looking for a popular book that you want. Why not check and see if your local bookstore has it available? Support people. Tip number 4, now this one is controversial. So if you listen to audiobooks and read ebooks, you're saving paper, saving trees. And again, with apps like Libby, you can read those kinds of books for free. So you're also saving money. Initially, the first purchase of your e-reader is probably going to be a couple $100s. And not everyone can do that. But I used to be an audiobook snob and I have changed. So don't knock it till you try it, because I love audiobooks. They're a super great way to get a lot of reading done while you're doing other stuff, like doing chores or driving. That's a lot of time that we spend doing stuff that you don't really think about. I've gotten so much reading done listening to audiobooks, so I'm like doing other stuff. So audiobooks are awesome. And then you have everything in one little nifty place, which is also really cool. I decorated mine a little with Animal Crossing stickers. The Kindle app is also cool because it saves your books like on each app. So like I can read a book on my Kindle. If I didn't bring my Kindle with me, I can resume it on my phone. So that's really cool also. A lot of times I like to read ebooks or the listen to the audiobook before I buy a book, just because again, it's saving money. If I end up not liking it, then I don't want to really waste money buying a book I don't know I'm gonna want to keep forever. And I've done that a lot. I've listened to books that I loved and then I really wanted a copy in my library, and then I go look at my local used bookstore and pick it up if they have it. I actually did that with Good Omens. I listened to this audiobook and I love it. I love Neil Gaiman. He is like an angel. But also I want to experience actually like reading the physical words of it, since I listened to it last time, you know what I mean? That's also a fun thing about listening to audiobook first. If you do love it and want to buy it so you can have a copy, it's kind of like you get to read it a first time again. Anyway, yes, Good Omens. I listened to it first and then bought it. So that's why I love audiobooks. And my 5th tip and last tip is to sell or donate books that you don't really want to keep. My local used bookstore does this, and so does Half Price Books, as I already said, but they take in books that you don't want anymore and will reimburse you. So I'm not sure how Half Price Books does it, but my local bookstore will pay up to half of the retail price, which is super nice because you're clearing room off your shelves for stuff that you actually do want to keep, and then you're getting money to put toward new books, And also you're giving money back to local business. So it's, again, like a bunch of positives for doing that. Usually it's super easy. All you have to do is bring in your books and they tally it up for you and yeah, give you money. If you do take your books to like a used bookstore and they can't buy everything from you, it's always a super great option to donate books to your local thrift store or whoever in your area takes donations. As I said before, thrift stores are a super great way to find used books and books you've never heard of. And a lot of people rely on thrift stores to buy books for their families, so the more you can kind of donate and give back to your community, I just think it's like better for everyone. Again, you're not needing those books anyway. You have room on your shelves for books you do want, and then someone else, you know, might really love those books that you're giving away. Okay guys, that is the end of my video. I hope these tips were useful. Please let me know if you have any tips. Thank you for joining me again today. I hope you have a great day and week and month. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you next time.